Happy Wednesday, everybody. Here we are at another um, discussion and what we can talk about and dream about and think about as we share what's going on in the world of work life. So give us 2 minutes and or less, maybe 30 seconds. We'll be right with you.
Hey there.
Yeah, and today is one of those days where the internet is asleep, I think. So things are extremely slow, and it's like they're just trying to move along and keep things going. But welcome, everybody. We are Dave and Laura Butler of Work Life Consulting. And what we do is we provide customized online coaching programs that help individuals, teams, and leaders achieve greater fulfillment in their lives. Our services are tailored and customized to fit your unique needs and include individual coaching, virtual workshops, and keynote content. So today's session is talking about let me find my note card here. It's completely gone away, but 7 strategies. Here it is. 7 strategies to create habits that serve your purpose. And so what we're going to do is we're going to discuss what is this purpose thing all about when we think about habits. Let's have a dialogue about that, and where it may be a lack of, and where habits and purpose can align and show up. And we'll sprinkle some Berkman discussion to help, and we'll describe what that is in a little bit to help kind of identify how you select habits and what you may gravitate towards, and then understand how to set targets and goals and what tools you might be able to use to do that. So when we think about habits, what comes to mind when you think of the whole idea of these 7 strategies? It sounds like a lot at first, but to me, this is, and then I'll let you say something. Believe it or not, I will. To me, it's about the situation and what our personal mission is, which is what the habits that serve your purpose are all about. What do you think?
Well, I think the idea of purpose. Let me answer your first question first. You said, "What
Yeah,
do you think?"
I'll throw some questions at warp speed as my head is thinking and going. So yeah.
Your first question was, "What do you think of when you think of habits?" And I think the first thing that occurs to people, at least it does to me, is good habits versus bad habits. It's like that sort of on-off kind of thing. It's all or nothing. It's either good habits or the bad habits. When in reality, when you start reading the research on habits, habits aren't necessarily good or bad. It just depends on whether or not they're serving a purpose that you want to serve, as opposed to habits that are just happening and you have no control over them and you feel like it's out of control. So you've got quote unquote bad habits like smoking or drinking or whatever you want to choose, or eating too much or getting too heavy, or
The in excess.
what's that?
In excess.
In excess, like excessive. Those are just excessive habits. They're not good or bad. It depends on what it is you're trying to accomplish. So if your purpose is to have good health, then you need to manage, maintain, create habits that will lead you towards good health. Clearly, it would be a bad habit to overeat every meal, because it's not going to be good for your health. But if you want to choose the purposes to live a more healthier life, you have certain habits of when you eat, what you eat, how long you eat, how many times a day you eat. I mean, all of these things could be looked at as habits. So I think that's the first thing that comes to people's mind, is good or bad, when in reality they should just be looked at as tools. They don't have to be good or bad. They're just things to get us where we want to get to.
Yeah, it's another guardrail or lane to look at in terms of how we set up our thinking and our strategy. And this is certainly not work life consulting's idea. of talking about habits. I mean,
Mm.
somebody who's been pretty well known in this field is Stephen Covey. That habits galore. And why does that keep? And then he even added a habit to his 7 habits. So there are 8 habits, and the work still goes on, even though he passed away. But because it's so important, and I think the situation and the personal mission are equally as important. And what we have on our website, which is worklifeonline.com, and you can see the information down below. We have a blog this week that covers this topic. And we had selected 7 strategies, but which included, I think there's some interesting ones on the list. There's make a list. What we need to be aware of is the number that are important to us. Now, maybe some people have 1, which is fine. They start off with, it's like starting anything new. Just try, a new habit. And then they even say in the list, 1 at a time. So that we'll talk about in a minute was my personal favorite. Find a cue. There's something that is in your world that will sort of trigger a thought, or how it sets up a trigger, but how you integrate that to become a habit. Start small. We don't have to climb Mount Everest here, as we're working on sorting through habits to build it up. So it's like building up your workout routine. That's what this is all about. Reward yourself. So when something is done well and you feel like you've accomplished, or you just started, it doesn't have to be check, we're done. I don't know, some habits, hopefully we're never done because they become a habit. They're incorporated into our life and be persistent. So the reason that I choose 1 at a time is that I can load my plate up in a heartbeat with things that I feel guilty about if I don't accomplish all at once. And so when I have something that I'm doing that I feel like I'm narrowing down on it, I'm really working in on it, I know I'm going to be much more successful. So that kind of relates to your favorite, which is start small.
Well, I think it's important to start small because it's got a certain simplicity to it. I think the more that we try and start big and we try and do too many things all at once, it's almost a recipe for disaster, because it's in and of itself a bad habit. It's a habit of trying to do too many things at once. I can't keep them all straight. I'm not sure what to focus on. So by starting small, for example, I'll give you an idea of one of the habits I've created recently for myself. Is in the amount of writing that I'm doing now with the programs that we're developing and the blogs that we're writing, and there's a lot of creative time that goes into that. I try and start small by just taking one idea. I take just a pencil and I think about a pencil. One of my cues is I sharpen the pencil. I don't actually write with a pencil. I actually, write on the computer. But if I start by sharpening my pencil, for some reason that sets off this little it's symbolic in my mind. Then I'm going to try and get to the point. Point, sharp pencil, get it? There's something about having a sharp pencil sitting there next to my desk that helps me to stay focused and get something done. But I don't try and write all the blog all at once. I just try and write for an hour or write for half an hour and just let the ideas come and see what comes out.
Yeah, and those of you who are joining, even with the recording, write a comment on one of your favorite habits, possibly, or if you feel like there has been 1 at a time is a good one for you, or starting small, just put 1, so we know that you're there's an alignment with you and what we're saying. And just to remind people who may be hopping in midway, we're Dave and Laura Butler of Work Life Consulting, and today's live stream is focusing on 7 strategies to create habits that serve your purpose. So we just are talking about the blog pieces and what it covers, and I think we spoke a little bit about this, that serve your purpose.
Now you can have personal habits. You can also have team habits, and it's possible to even think about organizational habits, if you will. The fact that we try and do this live stream once a week is a form of an organizational habit. It
Yep.
focuses us in on what's our message of the week, and it gives us an opportunity to discuss it and work on it.
Yep, absolutely. And I think the other piece of why this is so important is it further refines how habits can create your story. When you're clear on your story, meaning your personal brand, your message, the way you show up, most likely you're going to have more. And there's a whole nother discussion, which is another previous live stream. You're going to have more confidence. So we've been talking a lot about confidence lately, and I've been running a course right now with about 10 women on confident you. So when you're clear on your story and you're exuding that confidence, it's most likely because there has been some underlying habit that has supported and buoyed that effort as we go forward. And the other piece that I think is so valid and so helpful is we use a tool called the Berkman method. And the Berkman method identifies what you love, what your strengths are, what your needs are, and what your stress behavior may look like. So if you are in alignment with your motivators or your needs, then we're going to see your stress behavior. And what may block habits is not knowing what your motivator is. So if we take a look and broken down into red, green, blue, and yellow, the yellow is going to be, it's very important for the yellow to lay the groundwork in advance. So, and I see that the internet friends are working alongside us here, and things are getting a little fuzzy. So yellow, lay the groundwork in advance. And the importance of that is to be able to know ahead of time, maybe I put myself in some sort of planning process, or I give myself the adequate numbers, rules, agenda, so that I can allot the time that I need to create the habits. And green, well, Dave. So what is the green?
Well, it's personalizing your conversation, personalizing the way that you approach a habit. Try and look at it in terms of the individual. Try and look at it in terms of communication. I think that would be something that would be important. Is how do you set up your time to communicate? How often do you check in with other people? How do you build your system of being able to stay connected with others?
And then the red takes a look at the action, the ensure the ownership, so that they can create a habit that's going to be in alignment with action for them to get things done. And the blue banner here seems to have been eaten again, but the blues want the time to be put in place, and so that they can process and create the habits in a reasonable fashion, but not to get too overwhelmed. So they really need the time is the key word for them. So I thought the other interesting piece, and if those of you who are listening, type in, what are you, red, green, blue, or yellow, when you think about creating a habit. So then the other thing that I thought was interesting that you shared earlier was this book. So, another, there it is. This is not a new concept, but this was one of your favorite books. You had that for a while.
Yeah, it's definitely like the Encyclopedia Britannica of habit. It's a wonderful book. It's been highly recommended by Daniel Pink, who's one of our favorite authors, as well as Jim Collins, who is the author of Good to Great and all that kind of good work. They both have been big advocates of this book. So I learned a lot from this book. It's called Why We Do What We Do in Life and Business. There's a lot of things that we build right into the ability to be successful. Has to do more with habit than it does with talent. Talent's important, but talent that's not focused and not used to support habits that serve your purpose is talent wasted.
Absolutely. So we're going to close out here. We wanted to let you know that there is some upcoming opportunity to work with us and work life. One of them is we're putting together a program on thriving in the virtual world, because it's still, in case you've been living under a rock, we're still in the uncertainty and kind of stressful time, and the world is still remote and will be that way for the indefinite future in some hybrid fashion, I guess, but you're not going to get me on a plane anytime soon. So the idea is, let's see where you're at with your level of stress. And so this quiz will give you some insights, or you can access the quiz on our website. And right at the top of the page, you can access the quiz and get insights, and also join our wait list so that you can be a part of being informed for the upcoming course. And what we do each week is we have these Wednesday live streams. We'd love to hear from you about any topics you'd like us to cover. We'd love to get feedback from our people in our community. So thanks for joining us today. Any closing comments, Dave?
No, just I refer to Aristotle's famous saying that excellence is more of a habit than it is a trait or a behavior. So if you want to be excellent, take a look at your habits.
There you go. Thanks for joining. Always leave comments. We'd love to hear. See you next Wednesday.